This is Harley Race, the king, the greatest wrestler on the face of God's green earth. And you're listening to In Your Head.
All right, and welcome to In Your Head Wrestling Radio. I am the internet icon, handsome Jackie Jones, along with my right-hand man.
1 inch biceps, the power goat. Bah! How about that, Neil? Jack.
That's all right, it's pretty powerful. And joining us right now, he might be wondering why. We have Total Protection, Mr. Hughes on the line. How are you doing?
Hey, great to be with you. How y'all doing?
Very good.
Doing good.
Yeah.
Great.
Now, Total Protection, Mr. Hughes, you've been wrestling for decades in like every major federation. And I followed your career from the AWA, WCW, WWE, ECW, everywhere. Do you have a particular era that was your favorite?
Well, as far as my career went?
Yeah.
Well, pretty much I enjoyed my time in WCW. That was pretty much a learning era for me. And, kind of homing in on my craft and trying to figure out, what character I was going to make my mark at. And lo and behold, thanks to Dusty Rhodes, it was the bodyguard, Mr. Hughes. Mm-hmm. So I'd say it was in WCW when I changed my gimmick over to the bodyguard, Mr. Hughes.
Yeah. Was that Dusty's idea, the bodyguard gimmick?
Yes, it was. I came in as Big Cat. I didn't come in as Big Cat. I came in as Curtis the Cat Hughes from AWA, doing ESPN shows every week up there. And Lex Luger and I had the same finishing maneuver, which was the torture rack. And I guess they were looking for somebody to work Luger. And it was a good idea, I guess. Someone thought that, big as I was, and I did a lot of athletic things in the ring, and we had the same finish, so I guess they figured they can draw some money with that and gave me a call.
Mm-hmm. Did he yeah, go on, I'm sorry.
And, that's things worked out and went on up there and started my career as Big Cat. And then Ole had the book, and then when his time ran out, then Dusty took the book, and then that's when he came to me and said that I think I have a better character for you that will help your career a lot better. And he told me about it and said that, you can do the Big Bubba gimmick with the bodyguard gimmick. And, of course, I had to do it differently. I couldn't do it the same way as Big Bubba did. He had his way of doing the bodyguard gimmick, and I had to create my own style of it to where it would, take hold of people's attention on what I did, and that's when I decided to wear the shades and keep them on.
Uh-huh. How did you keep the shades on during the matches? Was that ever hard to do? And was that ever dangerous?
No, that was it was something I had to figure out because I really wanted to be different from Big Bubba, as I said earlier.
Yeah.
He came to the ring, he took off everything. He took off his hat and his jacket and his glasses and his tie sometimes. But when I looked at him, I was like, okay, if you're supposed to be a big, bad SOB bodyguard, only thing you need to take off is your hat and your jacket. Everything else stays put. You follow me? To get that character over. And so that's what I decided to do, is to figure out a way to keep those shades on. That was the thing in my mind. I was like, I need to figure out a way to keep these shades on. If I can keep these shades on and wrestle in these shades, I believe I can get this gimmick over. And so I tried the sports straps that you use for glasses. You're familiar. Mm-hmm. And that didn't work because every time I took a big backdrop, they'd fly off. And so, one day I was in the dressing room because I usually use black electrical tape. And I was like, wait a minute. Electrical tape, it stretches. So let me try electrical tape, see how that works. And there it was. That's how I did it. Electrical tape.
That's good.
That's funny, huh?
Yeah. And when I asked about dangerous, did they ever, the lens ever break or anything like that?
Well, here's the thing. Back when I was wearing those particular shades that you see all these pictures of me in, those particular shades, the way they made them, they were safe. Like, they had, screws, they say were screwed in to the plastic on top of the glasses, on like top of the plastic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the glasses, you know, they were on top of the plastic. They wasn't like close to your eyes. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, when they broke, they would fall off. They wouldn't just go towards your eyeballs. So they were the safest kind. They don't make them anymore.
Uh-huh.
But I had worn my last pair up in Alabama, up in Birmingham, you know, a few weeks ago, wrestling this green person. And, you know, I told the guy, do not hit me around my face. And the guy, sure enough, I get in the ring, he goes throw a punch and broke my freaking last pair I had. So now I'm hunting around looking for another similar pair to wear. But yeah, you know, they do. Trust me, I didn't broke hundreds of glasses like that. You know, I mean, hundreds. I broke some when I switched over to go with Junkyard Dog, mm-hmm. where he punched me and it broke, and it turned me back to Big Cat. That didn't work out, you know. But yeah, I wore a lot of glasses of that style, and a lot of them broke, you know.
Yeah. You mentioned Junkyard Dog. Do you think they just turned you Cat just because it was kind of like the dog and the cat then tagging? Or what do you think the reason was there?
I'll tell you the honest reason. The reason they pretty much, you know, changed me back from all that pushing I was getting as the bodyguard didn't make no sense to me. My contract was pretty much running out, and they weren't going to renew it. So, you know, either they was going to make me quit or I was just going to go with the flow. So I pretty much just went with the flow, you know, and then when the contract ended, it was done. So, you know, that's just how it is in the wrestling business.
Mm-hmm. Also, when you took the bodyguard role with, and you know, Dusty had like the gimmick stuff, did you change your wrestling style? And did he like tell you to work a different style? You know, not just your mannerisms, but in the ring.
No, I didn't tell me any of that. I just knew what to do.
Uh-huh.
You know, I mean, you know, when you get in the wrestling business, depending on what kind of character you're trying to portray here, because that's what it is. And if you don't understand that whole concept when you get in this business, you're lost, okay? So whenever a person gets in the business, just like when I train people, I tell them what you're trying to be, what kind of character you're trying to work on. Mm-hmm. If that's the character that you try to portray, you got to portray them pretty good so people can understand what it is that's walking down that freaking to that ring. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, people just walk to the ring, you don't know what they are. Nobody wears vests, nobody wears jackets, nobody wears robes. You know, everybody's the same. Mm-hmm. And that's what's boring about professional wrestling right now. Okay? Yeah. But anyway, no, Dusty didn't. He just said, you know, do the bodyguard gimmick, come up with your own way of doing it, and do it the best way you can, which I'm glad he gave me that leeway. He let the reins go so I can create that character, my own style, my own way. And the end result was it worked out, mm-hmm. you see. Yep. So I wasn't really, you know, he really didn't just say, do it this way, do it this way. Right. He just pretty much said, you know, I want you to be a bodyguard gimmick, do it the best way you know how. Mm-hmm. And I thank God he let me do it like that because it worked out, you know.
Yeah. Now, how, in your wrestling school, and we'll talk a lot about that, how early in their training do you, you know, present them with working on a character? Is that something you do right away, or like, is that more of an advanced thing?
Well, you know, no, of course not. Mm-hmm. But, you know, you have a lot of people already set in their mind when they come what they want to do and what they want to be, okay, which they don't have a clue mm-hmm. until they actually start training because, you know, until you get in that ring and start the freaking training and start doing all the hard work to get to the point to where, like myself and a lot of other superstars have made it to. It takes a lot of hard work and determination. And some people are not willing to put the time in. They want to go from the little house to the big house, and it don't work like that. And I try to tell, you know, all the young people that come to me for training, even though they say, yeah, I got a finisher already. Dude, I don't want to hear about all that. You have to learn how to wrestle first. Before you can bring that to me, I'll pretty much sit them down and explain to them how it works. I said, you know, you might not want to do this in 3 days. You might not want to do this in 30 days. You follow me? Mm-hmm. You know, your first couple of days, you might realize that this is not for you. And I had a lot of people that did that, where they come in and they pay all their money to train. And then the first day they changed their mind because they figure this is not for them. And so, wrestling is a different brand of freaking individual. You really have to want to do it. It really has to be in your blood and your soul that you can do it, because everybody can't wrestle. And trust me, I've tried to train. I'm talking about, bodybuilder looking guys that look like they just got chiseled out of stone and they couldn't even freaking hit the rope. They couldn't freaking take a bump. So just because somebody look like Hulk Hogan, that don't mean they can do the job. You feel me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
now, you mentioned, you just said like a big guy. You do see a lot smaller guys on wrestling today. So do you think that's more acceptable in wrestling today, that you don't necessarily have to be a giant guy? Or what do you think someone has to have to be a wrestler?
Well, like I tell all my people that come to me, men and women, because everybody think you have to be, 7 foot tall, 300 pounds, and chiseled out like you've been chiseled out of stone. No, you don't have to be like that. Okay? First of all, you find the right place to go get the training that you need. And once you find the right place, because you got to do research first, of course. You can't just pick the first one and boom, go there. You got to do research first. What I mean by doing research, you try, you go online, you look at all these different places. And what are you looking for? Like I tell people, what are you looking for when you look for a wrestling school? You look for how many guys from that particular place is actually out there wrestling, how many people from that particular place is actually on television, how many from that particular place is out there doing shows on a regular basis, how many people from that school have got a reputation of getting respect because they've been taught right. That's how you look at it. And, I tell people when they come to the school, hey, if this ain't what you really want to do, don't waste my time. If you want to be a professional wrestler, I can help you learn how to be a good professional wrestler. You just got to come in the building every day. If you don't come in the building every day, I can't help you. It's as simple as that.
Now, I noticed on your wrestling site, WWA4.com, your wrestling school site.
I'm not there anymore.
Oh, you're not? I'm sorry. Well,
Oh no!
What's your wrestling?
I'm not there, so we don't even want to go down that road.
Well, don't go to that site. What's your current wrestling school? I'm sorry.
It's called Hot Atlanta Total Protection Mr. Hughes Wrestling Facility.
Oh, good.
Okay, yeah, that's what it's called.
Now, how do people find that? Is there a website?
Okay, well, the address is, first of all, if you want to reach me, you can go to Mr. Hughes, thebull@yahoo.com, or the phone number to the school is 404-664-2827. The address to the school is 640 Highway 138 Southwest, Riverdale, Georgia. And, it's a big old building. It's a nice building, plenty of parking. It's not behind a strip club like the old place I used to be for 13 years. I mean, it's in a nice neighborhood. It's safe, I trained a lot of people where I was at that other place for 13 years. I trained thousands and thousands of guys that are out there wrestling. Heath Slater, Apollo Crews, Jonathan Gresham. I can go on and on. I mean, Odinson, Cody Hall, thousands and thousands of guys, okay? People in WWE, people in TNA, people in Ring of Honor. So, I know what I'm doing. I know how to teach people how to wrestle. But now, over at the other place where I'm at, been there going a couple of months. Takes time to build it up. But, if you want to learn how to wrestle, come see Mr. Hughes, and I guarantee you will learn how to wrestle.
Yeah. Well, I did notice that you said that you're not a trainer that, really, yells at people.
No, I don't. You can't get nothing to par. You can't get things point across to it. Listen, was that your question you want me to ask you there?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't want to cut you off because, I get a little long-winded when it comes to questions that I really love answering, and that was one of them. And the thing about training people, okay, you get all walks of life. I'm talking about young and older, but most of them are, mature adults, okay? And so if you try to teach people how to wrestle, You can't beat them up. You can't push them around. You can't talk to them like they're below you. You can't talk to them like they're garbage. Okay? You can't get to them. You can't get to their soul as far as teaching them what they need to be taught. And that's one thing I don't do. I respect them just like I want to get respect from them. I mean, it's just the way it goes. You know, you treat them like a freaking human being. You treat them like you want to be treated. So anybody comes in, if they have a right respect towards me, because I'm going to give it, because if you want it back, you got to give it. And I respect all the people that come in. I don't chew them out. I mean, cuss them out or anything, but, sometimes you got to raise your voice sometimes to get a point across, to get something, to get the person to understand, do it this way, and explain to them why they got to do it that way, in the psychology, why they got to do it that way. Because, there's a lot of guys out here, they open up these places and call them schools, and they're qualified to train people. Training people takes time. You have to be in it a while to figure out how to do it. Once you figure it out, hey, it's a ball game. But, say for a young person opening up a school and you ain't been nowhere, you ain't been to no companies, you ain't been nowhere at all. You ain't been to the big time. So how you going to teach somebody how to wrestle? You follow me? Mm-hmm. And that's what's going on a lot in the wrestling world today. You got a lot of people trying to open up somewhere just for a hustle, for a gig, so they can make some money off these guys, and they're not teaching them anything. And then you got guys going and do shows, don't have no business in the ring. Mm-hmm. There.
I think it's very well stated. So, do you have any thoughts on some of the stories with trainers like Bill Demott?
No, I don't have anything to say about him because I really didn't know him that well. So I don't usually say too much about people I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't go down that road with people. And, if I don't know you, there's nothing I can say about you. That's the way it works, right?
Exactly. I respect that. So,
yeah.
When you said you came into WCW to do, it was like the Torture Rack versus Torture Rack, did Lex have any heat with you because you did have the same finisher?
No. It was all business, But, coming in as a young person, I had to earn some respect. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I had to earn my respect, and I got it. And, trust me, it wasn't a cakewalk when I first got there. I mean, here I was a young kid getting a push and sticking me in the ring with all these stars, and, so, people got egos and this, that, and the other. So, when it comes to getting in the ring and having a program with somebody, both parties have to be on the same page so you can make some money together. You can't be butting heads. You feel me?
Yeah.
Sometimes, if that was the case, and of course got it straightened out and then everything was great, but a lot of times that's what happens in the big time,
Mm-hmm. You said Ole was booking originally when you came in as a cat. What was he like, and how would you? What's the difference between him and Dusty?
Well, Ole was, he was a good booker. I really appreciated him giving me the call, because he had the book at the time, so he was the one that gave me the call to come to Atlanta to start a program to, work with TBS, Championship Wrestling, and he was pretty much. I from what I saw, Ole was a pretty, pretty even guy, as far as talent goes. He gave everybody opportunity, to get out there and shine. And then he tried to capitalize on what you could do out there to help the show, to help the TV show, and he did what he could for a while. For the time being that he had the book. I mean, he didn't do too bad in my opinion. But, sometimes contracts run out and books change. That's just how it works in the wrestling business. And then, and then Dusty took over. And then, like I said, that's when Mr. Hughes' character, the bodyguard character, came into play, Now I did get the, Big Cat Hughes thing over, when I was there. But, I guess, like I said, Dusty seen something better, and I thank God he let me do it.
Yeah. Now, previously before that, I first saw you in AWA, and you mentioned AWA, and I know that was, towards the end of the AWA, but what was it like wrestling for the AWA, and was that a promotion that you watched before you became a wrestler yourself?
Yes, I did when I was a younger fellow. Of course I did. Yes, I did. It was close to my hometown, which is Kansas City, and I used to watch AWA. Who hasn't watched AWA back in those days?
Uh-huh.
I mean, if you were somebody, you watched AWA because a lot of the stars came from AWA.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of, if you was trying to get in the wrestling business, you wanted to go there. Just to get there, just to go to these different companies, back in those days, just to get some experience. See, that was the thing, getting to these companies so you can get some experience, so you can keep learning and getting better and better, setting yourself up for the big dance one of these days, WWF, WCW, one of those big companies. Mm-hmm. And so, once I got trained, Bob Geigel, which is the guy that trained me, Sonny Myers as well, Lord rest both their souls, but, Bob Geigel was one of the main promoters for NWA back in the day in Kansas City, which every professional wrestler back in the old days came through there. Kansas City used to be a hot spot for NWA. That's where they had one of their main offices there. And the guy that trained me, Bob Geigel, he was still running it at the time. And so he was still, him and AWA owner, the Gagnes, they would talk. And then once I got trained real good, I guess Geigel told them about me and saw what I could do, this and that and the other, and they gave me a shot. One day he called and said, AWA wants you to do the, TV show with them, go on up there. I went up there to Minnesota and started doing TV tapings for the ESPN show. Well, it didn't take long after my first couple of shows I did on TV that WCW came a calling, I'm glad that I got that break to get on AWA television, which was prime time, 3:00 in the afternoon, that we were on. And so I guess Ole's seen something that he liked in me, I reckon.
Yeah. And they still show AWA today on ESPN, ESPN
Yes,
Classics.
They do. Yes, they do. They show AWA Classics, and every now and then I'll see a match of myself on there sometimes.
Uh-huh.
And, of course, those will always be on there because I believe they won't sell those to the big company that has everything else.
Yeah.
But, every now and then I'll sit here watching ESPN and I'll see ESPN Classics, AWA Wrestling, and I'll turn it on and check it out. It'll be late at night, about midnight. Mm-hmm. And you might see me on there doing some, Curse the Cat stuff on there, doing some shucking and jiving like Junkyard Dog used to do, But I can't believe time has flew by so fast. I mean, my goodness, seemed like yesterday when I started.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Who were some of the guys you used to travel with in your early days?
Well, some of the guys I used to travel with, you probably don't know too many of them, because I pretty much travels with, T.C. Carter. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but
I remember him in AWA.
Mm-hmm. He was starting with me. We started around the same time, and Butch Reed, and I, traveled with him a couple of times, and
Big fan of Butch Reed.
Mike George, and Russell Satt. I mean, Bulldog Bob Brown, Rufus R. Jones. I mean, those are Central States people back then,
Mm-hmm.
But, back then it was pretty much Missouri and Kansas loop. You see, that's as far as we went out,
Mm-hmm.
back when I was in Kansas. So we didn't go too far away from the base, but, but those are pretty much the guys I rode with, off and on there. But as far as on up, rode with a lot of different people.
Uh-huh. Who would you say are some of your best friends that you made in the wrestling business?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of them that ain't here no more. So,
yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, you meet them, everybody's doing their thing, and next thing you know, they're not here no more. I mean, that's the sad thing about it. Back then, the wrestling business was a lot different back then. Mm-hmm. Thank God that they have wellness stuff now at the big companies now, where they make sure that you're not just strung out on anything serious. They try to keep the heads up on it so people don't freaking keep dying and popping pills and all that foolishness. And so a lot of the people that I really got along with, they're not here anymore.
Did you yourself ever fall into any of those traps or have any quote unquote demons?
Well, when my younger years when I was in WCW, of course I never popped no pills or anything, but I did some foolish things with the drug thing, cocaine, stuff like that, smoking weeds, stuff like that. But only did that for 12 months, and then once I got done, pretty much got almost finished with WCW, and I had to get it in gear because I wanted to go to the next level, which was WWF, And I knew up there, you could not do all that foolishness, because, I had to get clean, and then they had to, people go, telling, stooges, they just telling lies and telling this and telling that, and they're all doing the same thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had to show Vince that, I didn't do that anymore, and I did, and, Vince was real good to me. He took care of me, gave me the angle with the Undertaker, which he could have gave it to anybody. Vince he's a brilliant businessman. I mean, my goodness, I've been there 3 different times to work for the man, and I tell you what, people say stuff about him, but I tell you, he was good to me, and he's the best boss I ever had.
Now, you say great things about Vince himself, but he did mention the Stooges. Was the locker room more political than other promotions you worked for?
Well, in the locker room, I was pretty much business. I really didn't get in all that. I showed up. I was clean. I showed up. I did what I was supposed to do in that ring, and respected everybody, and went back to the hotel and relaxed to the next show. So it's the way you got to carry yourself up there. You won't last. It's just simple as that. You gotta keep a low profile as far as what you do privately. You just got to keep a hush hush because it's pretty. TV is pretty strong. So it's best not to do anything foolish like that, because trust me, they're going to find out when they say you come pee in this cup right here. We'll find whatever you're doing. So it's best not to do anything and just have a clean slate, man. And you have a good career. That's just the way it is. You got some people that can't pass a wellness test to save their life. And it's sad. You work so hard to get to this level. You're on television every week, you're getting a push, they're making all these dolls, merchandise, and over a joint, you're going to throw a piss that all the way for a joint?
Yeah.
You got a problem.
You mentioned Undertaker. Obviously, everyone knows Undertaker and huge. Did you, when you were working with him then, he was still, a big, really over and everything. Did you, what did you think of him then, and did you ever think that gimmick would last so long? It's one of the longest lasting gimmicks ever. It's, changed over time, and maybe the best gimmick of all time. I don't know.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think that the Undertaker gimmick is the best gimmick ever, because, he could, you can do a lot of different things with that character, and the main thing that I liked about it, is the first part of it, the infancy stages of that Undertaker gimmick. When he come out and hit the music's playing, and he's taking his time, walking to the ring, and everybody's absorbing this character. Okay, now that's what I was talking about earlier, where you don't see anymore. It's like somebody hits some music, and somebody come running down, is all greased up. And you don't know what he is. You don't know what kind of character he is. That's what's lacking in the world of professional wrestling today. That's why people don't watch it no more, because it's not entertaining anymore. I don't know why they say entertainment, but it ain't entertaining anymore. And, you know, you got to get back to the characters. You got some characters, but you got some people that don't know what they are. And that's what's wrong. I mean, you know, but as far as The Undertaker goes, that's the best gimmick ever. And I tell you what, I had a ball working with him all over the country doing casket matches. It was awesome. I tell my students sometimes how it was, and they ask me, of course, how it is, walking down that aisle in front of all these people and so forth and so on. And a couple of my guys experienced that already. They're doing it now every night, every Monday night, every Tuesday night, because they're doing it, you know. I'm talking about Heath Slater and Apollo Crews, who were my students that I trained from the day one that came in there. You know, Heath Slater, you know, a little skinny red-headed kid, you know, wanting to be a wrestler.
Who's very entertaining.
Huh?
He's very entertaining. You know, he has a gimmick.
Of course.
He's very entertaining.
Yes, yes, you do. Yes, you know, and that's what I'm saying. You know, I taught these kids how to do this stuff. I just didn't train them. I taught them how to come into their character. They ask questions. Do it like this. Work like this. Try it like this. I just didn't teach them and say, go do it. No. It wasn't like that, brother. When these people come and they pay me their money and say, hey, Mr. Hughes, I want you to teach me how to be a good professional wrestler. And I tell them, this is what you got to do if you want to be a good wrestler. Bring your notepad in here and write down everything I show you in detail. Don't be lazy and think you're going to remember everything at the top of your head, because you're not. And the ones that wrote the stuff down are out there wrestling right now.
What's that feeling like for you to see someone that you train, you know, on the big stage, on TV, you know, doing well for themselves?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. Somebody asked me that question before, and I love answering that question. You remember that movie Rocky? I think it's the movie when he had that one kid off the street. You remember that? I think that was Rocky 7 or 8 or something like that. It was low.
I think
it was
5,
the one where,
might have been 5.
Yeah, when that kid was from Missouri, but he was a real boxer, a fighter, and he took him under his wing and all that, and Rocky's kid got jealous. You know, you remember that movie, right?
Yeah.
And then they're downstairs, and he's having his first fight, and Rocky and the family are down in the basement, and the match starts, and Rocky's sitting there hitting the bag. You remember that movie?
Oh, yeah.
Right, and so Rocky's trying to relive his youth and while the kid's in the ring boxing. Well, anyway, that feeling right there is the feeling you get. I mean, when you see, you know, a couple of your students on this television, on this company that you used to work for, that they came in, paid their money, and you trained these kids to make it to that particular company, and you see them on television, of course, it's a total blessing. Trust me. I pray to God every day to let my kids get to that level, because I'm saved, by the way. And so, you know, one day I had a bunch of my students over here. We were watching Monday Night Raw. I didn't know this was going to happen. But anyway, I always wanted to see two of my guys, because I used to say it all the time. Man, it'd be nice to see, you know, two of my guys wrestling on Raw, you know? And so one day, I was watching Raw one day, and lo and behold, there was Paul Crews and Heath and his buddies trying to hook him up with a T-shirt, and if he won the match, he got to join his group. You know that group they come out with?
Yeah.
Heath Slater, So anyway, I was like, oh my God, wait a minute, they're getting ready to wrestle. They're getting ready to have a match. There it is, boom. And so they had a match together, wrestling each other on television. Two of my guys on Monday Night Raw. What a rush.
That's awesome.
And on top of that, the following week, Apollo Crews wrestled Chris Jericho, who I used to bodyguard for. Now, what's up with that? You follow what I'm saying here? Now, what a coincidence. You follow what I mean?
Definitely.
So all these things that's going on, it's a blessing for me. That's all I can tell you about that part. You know, that's the best part I can tell you. You know, it's just a blessing to see that.
Yeah, I used to see he was Uha Nation on Dragon Gate USA shows. He used to run, well, he probably still run here in Massachusetts, and he'd be on there, and he's definitely one of the standout guys. So I was glad to see him, get the big break.
Excuse me. Oh yeah, they like him. He's a good athlete. They like him. They give him a little push there. But I wrestle pretty much a lot of my guys when they get to the point of being ready after I train them. And once I trained him, because I was like, when I get through training you, I want to wrestle you, buddy. And it's going to be at the school taped, because I want to get this on tape, because I already knew he was good. He was easy to train. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was like Moose. He was easy to train. Mm-hmm. And so, got him all trained real good. And then, because they used to do shows every Thursday. I commentated, worked the camera. It was like a big show that I put together for my kids so they can learn how to do this business, and that's professional wrestling. They do it good. A lot of the guys I train, they work real good. And so I had to match with him, and we worked like for 2 weeks, 2 Thursdays in a row, and of course he beat me and I beat him, so we're even, And so now that's on YouTube, so all you got to do is just type in Mr. Hughes and Uha Nation, and you'll see both of the matches up there.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah, Inchman, do you have a question from the chat room or Facebook?
Yeah, I've got one from Facebook. JD Blaze, he wants to know your favorite person to ever wrestle.
My favorite person to ever wrestle. To tell you the truth, my favorite person, Lord rest his soul, to ever wrestle was Brad Armstrong. Oh, Brad Armstrong was number one. I loved working with him. He was so easy he did whatever you needed to do to get the match over. Brad Armstrong was a great, great performer. Lord rest his soul. Number two was Kurt Hennig. Kurt Hennig was a great performer. Man, I tell you, I sure miss those guys. Because I tell you get in the ring with them, you're going to have some fun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always think Brad Armstrong is one of the most underrated wrestlers ever. He's
no doubt about it.
So smooth in the ring, and
yes,
he never got to where I think he should have been in wrestling.
I don't either. I really don't. I mean, I worked with him quite a few times in WCW days, and he made me look like $1 million. And of course I gave him some too, because I liked him a lot, and I was like, I'm not just going to get on here and just job you out, you know what I mean? I just didn't work like that with him, and certain people you took care of. It was just the way it was.
Yeah. Who would you say was a better manager that you had, Harvey Whippleman or Harley Race?
That's an interesting question. Well, Harley Race, because, I got a lot of knowledge from him, and we rode together, and I learned a lot from Harley, Riding up and down the highways and byways of this country, telling stories and telling me how the business is, so forth and so on. Mm-hmm. And so I'd say Harley Race is the best manager, that I have, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Any thoughts on Whippleman? What was he like to be around?
Well, he did a book. He did a book, and said some stuff in the book about me. But
I didn't know that.
I don't care. Yeah. Stuff that I suppose they did, so forth and so on. But as people say anything, just sell a book. You know what I mean? So, there it is. So. I mean, I don't have no heat with the guy. Don't get me wrong. I don't have no heat with him. I mean, hey, we rode together a lot in this business, and everybody has their little stories. And if you write a book, you want to make the book sound more interesting, you can boost up the story. You know how it works.
Now, when you were in ECW, what did you think of that promotion? And did you know Paul Lee from WCW?
Oh yeah, of course, yes.
So was that like how you got involved?
Yeah. So here's what happened with that. Me and Paul Lee, we went way back from the WCW days, and fast forwarding up to the point to where he decided he wanted to open his own promotion, which was Extreme Championship Wrestling. And I was one of the stars. Stars he called first, and called me. I'm putting together this company up in Philly. It's called Extreme Championship Wrestling. It used to be Eastern at first. And then once things got a little rolling real good, then they changed the tape to a stream because guys were bleeding and going through stuff. And then, so anyway, we talked about the deal and started flying me up for shows. And, it was interesting. A lot of the guys that you see through the years that's on TV now, like the Dudley Boys and Taz and Al Snow, a lot of these other guys, young guys that were back there then, they were still learning the game. They were like still training in the back some days where, on show day early. And so, I was like one of the stars. Then eventually they start bringing in more stars. And, and it was going pretty good. And, fast forwarding here, I'm pretty dark, okay? So, if I'm going to bleed, it's going to be hard to see. So, and I wasn't into all that falling through glass and all that getting cut up. I wasn't into that, okay? My gimmick was a bodyguard gimmick, and that's all I was going to do. I wasn't going to get involved with going through glass and barbed wire and falling off buildings. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I didn't get into business to get maimed and crippled, okay? So it lasted long as it did, and I thank God for Paulie let me do what I did there and help me with my crafts, with my character. And then after that, I went back to WWE,
Yeah, I know there's... go on.
So basically, I've been to WWF 3 times, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, 93, 97, 99, somewhere. Yeah. Triple H, and then Y2J.
What was it like working with Triple H? And did you foresee him being...
It was great. I really enjoyed it. First of all, I knew Triple H when he was in WCW.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I already knew, we talked before, and I already knew how good he was. He was a great worker. I enjoyed watching him work. I already knew he was going to be freaking awesome. I already knew that just from what he did in the ring. He was awesome. He was great. He got trained real good. And so when he was in WCW, I was like, we talked before, and I was telling him, how I felt. That's how you did. You talk to a guy, you tell him, hey, man, you're a good worker. I like watching you. You know what I'm saying? You're entertaining to watch as far as a wrestler. You follow me? I mean, I didn't watch no guy that don't know what he's doing. And so, didn't know at the time that I would be, hooking up with him up in WWF. Time has a way of, doing his thing is, whatever. You can't look ahead and say, I'm going to be with this guy in 10 years, It just happened, you know what I'm saying? So when it did happen, I was fired up about it. I really enjoyed it, but I don't think that, they knew exactly what they were trying to do with me, but, hey, it's a contract that pays bills, so I'm going to do whatever it takes,
Yeah.
But I had some fun. I mean, it was a fun experience that, my kids enjoyed it. My grandkids are going to have to enjoy it, all the stuff that I did. And, we talk about it, my grandbabies are little, so. When they get big enough, then they, I'm not the same size, so I got to convince them that's me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you look much better now.
Yeah, I feel a lot better too.
Well, that's good. That's quite a transformation for people.
People say you look younger when you get smaller. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's quite a transformation for people who haven't seen you recently. You're ripped and you look great. We saw you live at one of the fan fests a few years ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. Matter of fact, I got to do one this weekend up in Valdosta.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I think I'm wrestling 2 on that one too. So.
So.
Yeah. So.
When did you decide to not that you weren't when did you decide to I'm really gonna work on my body and get into shape here?
Well, my second time when I went to WWE, I started working out. I started getting serious about getting in shape and cutting some fat off, the whole 9 yards. Stopped drinking beer and eating junk. I just basically went on a good physical, healthy diet and worked out. And and I did it by myself. I mean, I did a good job, by the way. And I got in shape, and I sent them a package, and they liked it, and they hired me. Of course, I did when I got done with that with Triple H, and I left there. Then went back on the indie scene for a while and did some stuff overseas and things like that. Got back in the gym again, and wanted to get more cut. And I didn't take anything. It was just straight up hard work, man. I mean, you'd be surprised if you go from 390 and you're in the gym hitting the weights hard and riding the Stairmaster, eating right, sitting in the sauna, sweating off a bunch of garbage that's in your freaking body. You'd be surprised what's up under all of that. And so once I started lifting weights and doing all that Stairmaster work and sitting in the sauna, it just started peeling off. And next thing you know, I see all these veins start popping up, and I was like, that encouraged me to do more lifting weights and more and more and more. And so when I sent my last package in '99 to WWF, the first thing they asked me when they got back with me was I own anything? And I'm going, no, I'm not on anything. I mean, I looked like I was, but I was clean as a freaking, church mouse. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think if someone would ask you that, it's both like you'd be a little defensive, but at the same time, you'd kind of feel good at the same way. It's like, hey, they think I've,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I worked hard and to get my body right where I wanted it, and it stays pretty stable now. I don't have to worry about overeating because I'm pretty careful about what I put in my body. Getting older. Mm-hmm. Be 53 this year, so just doing the right thing and training people how to wrestle.
Excellent. Well, I myself have lost 32 pounds in the last year, so I don't look like Mr. Hughes though. But
there you go.
Inchman, you have a question from the chat room or the message?
John Reddy, he wants to know if you think your career would have went differently if AWA had survived.
I believe so. I mean, it happened. My career went forward anyway. So I don't know, if they would have lasted a little longer, because like I said, I got picked up before they went out of business. So, I was okay.
Now, when you were working with Jericho, whose idea was the silver shirt?
Mine, because here's because I was like, I wanted to try to look as close to his gimmick, being I was his bodyguard, see. And so one day we were at Raw, and I was like, I need to go to the mall and try to find a shirt like that. So I was asking him, I was like, yo, Jericho, where you get those shirts at, man? I need to get a couple like that. He goes, I got them from the mall. And I was like, all right. So I had one of the runners run me to the mall so I could find some, and I could not find any. So I came back to the arena, and so I told Jericho, I said, man, I can't find no shirt like that. So he says, here, I'll give you this one. So he gave me the one he used to come out to the ring with, and so all I did was have the seamstress at the arena cut the sleeves off. I still have that shirt, by the way. I still got a couple of shirts that he gave me that he used to wear, yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Tried to sell them on eBay,
I was just going to say, you probably, Mr. Hughes worn shirt, put up a still from the match, and I think you'd be good to go.
Oh, yeah, I'm just get rid of one of these days. Like I said, I got a couple of them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been another question?
Well, we asked him off the air, and I don't think he remembered him, but I'll ask him on the air so everybody can hear his response. Do you remember there's a former caller of the show named Jai. He went to your wrestling school.
Yeah, it would have been the previous wrestling school.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't know right offhand. Let me tell you this. So to help you understand, I trained thousands and thousands of people, of young men and women. Okay, so throwing a name won't help me remember unless he was there for a period of time.
Yeah. But he's remembered by the listeners, so we had to at least ask you online about it.
All right, good, great.
Now, this is an interesting question here. Kai Spires, did you have to buy your own sunglasses? And did you have to buy your own your wardrobe and everything?
Oh yeah, I did. I did. I bought everything. If you're trying to make this character get over the best way you know how, you have to invest in yourself. Like I tell all my students, if you want people to buy into this character that you're trying to portray out there on that stage, you have to invest in yourself. You have to invest. You can't go out there looking raggedy. You can't take secondhand garbage and go out there and try to look like something. You got to invest in yourself and think like this, okay? If I invest in my career and this thing, this gimmick that I'm working on, if WWE sees it or whoever, I mean, because 9 times out of 10 they're gonna change the character anyway. At least you can show them you can portray anything they put on you. See. So if you're making this, investing in this character that you're trying to portray, hey, it's gonna come back 100-fold if you do it right. Because I know people are so cheap that they can't invest in their character, but they rather smoke weed all day. You know what I mean? That's a shoot.
Uh-huh.
You know.
Mm-hmm. You're not
Hello.
Yeah, I'd say you're not going to give us any names about
Nah, that's not cool.
No, I was just kidding. You mentioned, with lots of guys, Jericho has a book, all kinds of people. But is there any chance for a Mr. Hughes book?
Yeah, I'm working on it right now, man. It's taking me forever to put it together because I'm doing it myself. But eventually, it'll be out there. It'll be interesting too to read. I guarantee you.
Yeah, because like we mentioned here, you've been, you're one of the last, active wrestlers. You guys are still around that have been through the territory days into the WWF and all the major federations of the last 20 years. So,
right, yes.
Talk about every place you've been. How different was that when you left like WWE, like compared to when you first got in? Because you had all the territories; they were still there. And then in the 90s, they really weren't there anymore. How different was, like the independent scene from the territory days?
Well, when 93, when I left WWF, I just came fresh off TV with the Undertaker angle. And so I was still pretty hot. A lot of guys are like that. You've been on TV for a while, and you're getting on TV all the time. And you're pretty hot when you get off that television, so a lot of promoters want to book you all over the planet, you know what I mean? And that'll last for a couple of years, but eventually things start simmering down because, if you ain't been on TV in a while, that means people don't contact you, I mean, I still get bookings, probably 3 or 4 months, but, back in the day, I got there was one every freaking weekend somewhere, all over the country, all over the world. And of course the pay, is way up there, and then eventually it kind of starts going down, but that's besides the point. You still get the same character, And of course you got new fans being born every day. And so, these younger people, these younger fans, they don't know how the business used to be. They just see what they see and think that's what it's supposed to be like, see? And I'm not going to throw no names out there because I'm not going to do that. But, these young people don't know wrestling, you ask me, okay? And let's say they don't know good wrestling when they see it, okay?
All right.
Now, thank God for the internet. You can go Google all the good stuff, all the old school stuff you want to these days.
Yeah. Well, there's the network, too. But are there any guys on TV that you do see like, hey, this is someone that you do enjoy watching?
Nope.
I like that
Sorry.
answer. No, that's totally fine. I like an honest answer.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. Well, hey, guys, my time's starting to wind down here.
Yeah. We had you here an hour. It's been a lot of fun talking to you, though.
It's been great talking to everybody. Like I said, you guys want to be a professional wrestler? You can call the school on Total Protection, Mr. Hughes, best trainer in the world. Phone number is 404-664-2827. Or you can Facebook Curtis Hughes or email me, mrhughesthebull@yahoo.com.
Nice. And I'll put all the information up on the website so everybody can have easy access to it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was great having you on.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Hey, this is Chris Jericho, the Ayatollah of rock and rolla, and the author of A Lion's Tale, Around the World in Spandex, the greatest book ever written, better than War and Peace, better than Lord of the Rings, better than Harry Potter and the Circle of the Golden Magicians, and you're listening to InYourHeadOnline.com right here on the World Wide Web. Junior!